All right, Doodah Dave, back at ya. Finally, 1978. Let's kick it off. This is my second video on the 1978 best of. And please like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you all for watching very much. I appreciate it. Doodah Dave's Records. Let's go for it. So, kicking off, we got the Doobie Brothers. This was the big one in 1978. Won a lot of Grammys. What a Fool Believes. They brought in Mike McDonald. They had Kenny Loggins. Tom Johnson had medical issues at the time, supposedly stomach stuff, which is no fun. And Jeff Skunk Baxter and Pat Simmons there, two drummers, T-Ran Porter on the bass. It's just a really, really great band. Really, really great band. Here they are on the back. And this was a terrific album on Warner Brothers. You had, they were from Northern California there. They're showing their colors, so to speak. And what else I want to say about this? They've got their usual bluegrass tune, Steamer Lane Breakdown. Everything on here is great. I mean, What a Fool Believes. I mentioned the Kenny Loggins, Don't Stop to Watch the Wheels, Dependent on You, Minute by Minute, How Do the Fools Survive. Mike McDonald just takes it to a whole new level. On a Warner Brothers label there, you can see. And yeah, Pat Simmons, Mike McDonald, Jeff Baxter, T-Ran Porter, John Hartman, Keith Knutson on the drums there, Bobby LeKine, Nicolette Larson, Rosemary Butler, a couple of venerable LA backup singers there, Norton Buffalo on the harmonica, Herb Pedersen on the banjo, Byron Berlin on the fiddle, Billy Payne on the synthesizers, who toured with them for quite a while before Mike McDonald joined in. And yeah, a couple of horn players. Just a great album on Warner Brothers, 1978's Minute by Minute with the Doobie Brothers. Nice black and white cover. Moving across the pond, we have Genesis, who also went through personnel changes at that time. They had lost Steve Hackett. And they had lost Peter Gabriel, of course, after 74. This was, I think, the first album after Hackett left, so there were just three. And then there were three, which is the title of it. A very quiet kind of studio album, but some great songs. I was listening to Burning Rope. What a great song, and terrific lyrics by Tony Banks on the keyboards, Phil Collins on the bass and vocals, and Mike Rutherford on basses, guitars, and he let Phil did, I guess, looks like Phil did the voices on everything. And there seemed to be no other studio guys on this, which is, it's just the three of them. So they did this whole studio album. Really nice packaging. The Hypnosis guys, everybody knows them from Pink Floyd, and they did Zeppelin. Just, they do a really nice packaging job. And what else besides Burning Rope? Of course, Follow You, Follow Me. Shout out to my friend Tony. That was her wedding song, Tony and Richie, 1978. So yeah, great album. And then there were three. All right, keeping across the pond, we'll go to New Wave. This one I had to look up because, as I mentioned before, this particular copy on my last one, it says 1979 on the record, on the record jacket. But if you go, it's Outlandish D'Amour, which was the first Police album. Sting, Stuart Copeland, and Andy. Excuse me, Summers. It is fall. It is allergy season. And there they are in all their glory. The Singing Cops, Outlandish D'Amour, which I think is roughly translated in French as Outlaws of Love, or Outlandish Love. And big hits on here were, of course, Roxanne. It's on the A&M label. Show you the label. Roxanne. I like Born in the 50s. That wasn't a big, and Can't Stand Losing You. Those were, and So Lonely. Those were pretty big hits. Anything else on here really? No, those. But Born in the 50s is a really cool song. Arranged by the Police, produced by the Police on A&M. So anyway, so I was saying the sleeve says 1979, but if you look carefully at this, I'll put that in there. Hopefully the camera will. It says 1978, so it was released in 1978. I was initially right. Very unusual, even for a re-release, not to have the original release date on the album jacket. I don't know what that was about with A&M, but that didn't happen too much. So we're still across the pond. We're back at Warner Brothers again, and this is the eponymously titled lead album from Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits, the original lineup. Great album. Sultans of Swing, In the Gallery, Wild Wild West, Lions. He had David Knopfler on the rhythm, John Illsley and Pick Withers, who was there till the end on the drums. Recorded in '78, produced by Muff Winwood. You may recognize that name. Yes, he is Steve Winwood's brother, but a lot of people didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. I remember reading it on here. But that's why you read album jackets, because you never know. And then Dire Straits started their little logo with the Mark Knopfler Fender guitar. Just a great, very nice, smooth kind of album cover. I heard the story to Sultans of Swing. Is there anything else I want to talk about music on it? Water of Love, Six Blade Knife, Southbound Again. I mean, the whole album just cooks and chugs like J.J. Cale, Across the Thames. Really good stuff. Knopfler is one of the best, and as the later Dire Straits and his solo stuff testified to. There's a story about him going to a club and hearing this band, and there were about 3 or 4 people in the audience, and they said, "Hey, and we're called the Sultans of Swing," and he, said, did the band about them. They were playing, I guess, like 40s type music and stuff like that. Wings greatest. A lot of people, when they do these, don't include greatest hits, don't include compilations, don't include live albums. I include everything. If it came out that year, it's fair game, because let's face it, even on this Another Day, I think it was released as a single, but on an album, Another Day was never released. And I love that song. That would have been the standout track, along with maybe I'm Amazed on the first McCartney album. Everything on here is a major hit. There's no, what is it? They say no skips. It's all bangers. Junior's Farm, I don't believe was released also on this for the first time. It had Live and Let Die, which Uncle Albert, all the Admiral Halsey from Ram, Jet, My Love, With a Little Luck, Band on the Run, of course. Everything. Pretty much just picked one cut from most albums. It looks like Speed of Sound, Did Let Him In, and Silly Love Songs. So that was 76. That was one of his most recent. London Townhead, With a Little Luck. So it's just a great album. If you're going to get one album by Wings, this is the one to get. Wings greatest. And then I would suggest the live album. And then you can work your way back through the catalog. Terrific stuff. There's the trio. Of course, in the beginning, it was really just Denny Laine with Linda and Paul. Linda being a photographer and a housewife who was turned into his backup singer. And when they did the first album, I love this story. I forgot why, but they went to Nigeria to cut it. The whole rest of the band cut out, and it was just the 3 of them. But I think that was the McCartney album. Let's see, was that Ram, or was that, I think that was the Wildlife album, because that was the first Wings album. The first McCartney album, of course, it wasn't really Wings. And then they took off from there. And then by the live album, they added Jimmy McCullough and on guitar. All right, this here's the this pretty cool inner sleeve, original inner sleeve on the Wings album. Okay, now we get back to domestic. A man by the name of Bruce Springsteen, who's been in the news, in the movies, in the records. His name, he just every Christmas, Bruce seems to drum it up. He's very good at that. You know, this summer you probably saw, I got to go to Asbury Park and see the Stone Pony. I posted pictures from that in the Asbury Park Convention Center where so many people played, the Stones and Fleetwood Mac and everybody. This is Darkness on the Edge of Town. This was the 78 offering. This is a very dark album. It took me very, very long time to get into this after, you know, Rosalita and Born to Run and Blinded by the Light and even Hard to Be a Saint in the City. Even his dark stuff on the Bright albums wasn't as dark as this, but it is a masterpiece. It is great. Candy's Room, Adam Raised a Cain, Badlands and Promised Land were the two big hits kind of from the album that he led off the first and second side. Prove It All Night, the title cut, Streets of Fire. It's a great, great album. He's got the lyrics all printed out there and there. So Nebraska has just come out, so I thought I would, I'm a contrarian a lot of times. This is the inner, nice cardboard inner with a picture of Bruce there. In the house in, where was his house that he had? I can't think of, not in Rumson. Rumson was the big house. Somebody help me in the comments where Bruce's house was back then. He later moved to Rumson, but it's in Jersey. Tony, I know you'll know. A shout out to my friend Tony at LPs or Us. He's did the Nebraska review. So that's Darkness. Okay, moving right along, we've got Who Are You by The Who. Now they just released I think like a Blu-ray and a 7 LP version of this with outtakes. This was Keith Moon's last record. Here's the cover. Who Are You? And there he is with the table, with the chair not to be taken away. They said the photographer said he wanted it because, Keith was kind of indulging a lot, so he had a little bit of a gut and stuff. Poor Keith. He died, I think, like a month after this album was released. But it is also, if not a masterpiece, I'd say it's a solid 4-star Who album. Underrated. Sister Disco, Trick of the Light, Had Enough. It's Music Must Change is a really nice cut. So Pete doing a lot on this. Rabbit Bundrick wasn't around. I don't know, he hurt his hand or something. So they brought in Rod Argent to do some synthesizer work, and Andy Fairweather Lowe did backing vocals and all that kind of stuff. Just an MCA, standard MCA, inner sleeve, cool back. I mean, besides the 4 of them on the front with all the equipment, the back is cool. Just cables and stuff from the live show, showing that they're in the studio working. But interesting, it says Platinum Plus. That was a thing that MCA did on their records, on the US records. And last album with Keith Moon and the chair. Okay, Bowie did a live album at this time. Now this album got a really big pan online in AllMusic. I read the Wikipedia reviews and then I read the AllMusic reviews a lot on these albums to try to pick up tips and see what people thought of them. I love this album. I think, by the way, all the pictures of Bowie are pretty much exactly the same, which is interesting. This has elements of Eno. That this was right in the middle of or after the Berlin period that I love, when he was working with Eno. Tony Visconti actually produced this album, but it has a lot of Eno's presence on it, a lot of Eno's songs on it. And two guitarists, Carlos Alomar, who's fantastic playing rhythm, and Adrian Belew on lead, who played with, of course, King Crimson and with Talking Heads. And Roger Powell on the keys from Todd Rundgren's band. So we really had an all-star, a guy named George Murray on bass, who was the drummer, was Dennis Davis. Just fantastic, and recorded with the RCA Mobile Unit. One of the reviews said, and have you ever heard this on a live album, that the live album sounded too clean. Like, do we really buy live albums to hear people clapping and shouting? No, we buy live albums because they bring out the best in our artists playing live. So Beauty and the Beast, Heroes, of course, it's kind of my favorite David Bowie song right now, which was from that period. It's on the RCA label, just regular RCA label. It's a double. Warsaw, which was written with Brian Eno. Fame is on here, the one he did with John Lennon. TVC 15 that I love, Station to Station, Ziggy Stardust. 5 Years from Ziggy Stardust also. And there's instrumentals on here. It's a moody live album, okay? But I like that. That's good. So there you go. Stage, David Bowie, 1978. 1978 was the release for the band's Last Waltz album, which was recorded in, of course, Thanksgiving, 1976. This would be the 51st anniversary this year. No, I guess 49th, right? Next year will be the 50th. So yeah, what to say about the Last Waltz that hasn't been said? I was listening to it right before doing the video, and it really is a great concert. It's a great album. It's a great movie. It really tells the story. The story is, of course, that the band, after 16 years, wanted to go off the road, and they invited some of their best friends and went back to the place where it all started for them live, which was Winterland. By the way, they didn't get to Winterland until 69, even though Big Pink came out. Music from Big Pink, their first album, came out in 68. And the story is, I got a good story about the band. Some of you guys may know this. Robbie was sick as hell. He had a very high fever, very sick, didn't want to go on. He had stage fright. I think stage fright was a lot about Robbie. And Bill Graham, the producer, who Fillmore East, Fillmore West, and Winterland, got a hypnotist and brought him in and got Robbie patched up so that he could go on and play. And they played, and they were great. And then he got a little bit better, and they rescheduled another date at Winterland. But this was at Winterland. They did the Thanksgiving show. This is the booklet. Here's the all of the songs and all the people on it. Of course, you had Neil Young, you had Van Morrison, you had Eric Clapton, who'd been kind of in seclusion, hadn't been really out too much. I mean, he was touring. Well, this was 76. Yeah, it was in between his various struggles. Muddy Waters, Dr. John. Of course, they brought out Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Emmylou Harris. And at the end, Ringo Starr and Ronnie Wood. So it was, who'd I miss? The Hawk, Paul Butterfield on harp. So it was an all-star cast. Most of the people on here, and Robbie Robertson just came out with a new book called Insomnia about his time making movies and film scores with Scorsese. But most of the artists on here are people that had worked with either Robbie or the band in quite a few incarnations. All right, moving right along. Is that everybody? We did, yeah, we did it. We got through them all. All right, under 20 minutes. Doodah Dave signing out. See you soon on here. Please like, comment, subscribe. I promise more videos to be coming. I'm going to wrap up the 70s with a 79, and then we're going to change directions. I'm thinking about doing something with Leon because he's going to be in the news. May he rest in peace. Actually, today is the anniversary. Today is the 17th, is the anniversary of his passing. I think in 2017 I saw. So long live Leon. Keep rocking. Thanks for watching.